back. I am finally doing a second episode. I don't know how everybody does this. It is very weird to sit down in front of a camera and talk to it by yourself in a room staring at a camera. It's weird. So hi, I'm back, and today I am here to tell you about the Outlander sweater. I'm going to be inserting a lot of pictures and short clips along the way, just so you guys can get a better look at what I was doing and the process. So let's go back to where it started. When I watched season 5 of Outlander and I watched the final episode, I saw this amazing sweater on Claire Fraser. As soon as I saw it, I knew I have to make that. So how did I start off? I took a lot of pictures of my TV. I had it playing on Netflix, and I would take the camera right up to my TV and take pictures of the sweater, different angles. I went online and tried to find some photographs, which there weren't that many. And then in season 6, the sweater shows up again. So I was able to get a couple of different vantage points, which was really nice. So I would take the picture, I would analyze it by zooming in, trying to look at the stitches. There were different colors because it depends on the lighting. So different scenes have a little bit of a different lighting. So sometimes it was a little bit darker, a little bit more purple. Sometimes it was more blue. So I kind of had to find a happy medium. Next step was to get the yarn. I am an ambassador for Knit Picks. This is not sponsored at all, not sponsored. But I am an ambassador, which means I post content on my Instagram and I earn points. And with the points, I can buy things off of their website. So I waited until I could save up a good amount of points, and I went onto the Knit Picks website. I just filtered out blue wool yarn. I knew it had to be a wool sweater. I just took my phone with the pictures of the sweater, of Claire wearing the sweater, and I kind of held it up to my computer screen and tried to match up the best I could. I found this yarn, which is Wool of the Andes. So it is Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, worsted weight Arctic Pool Heather, and each skein is 110 yarns. I believe the first time I ordered, I only got about 10 skeins. I wanted to start off, make sure that the yarn color matched and that it was going to knit up nicely. When I finally got the yarn, I needed to do some swatches. So in the TV show Outlander, the sweater has what looks like a seed stitch, but when you zoom in and look closer, it's actually a moss stitch. So there's a difference between the seed stitch and the moss stitch. Seed stitch is you're alternating knit and purl rows, and you're doing it one row, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. And then when you flip it around, you knit all of the purls and you purl all of the knit stitches. So it's opposite. This stitch is a moss stitch, and more specifically, an Irish moss stitch. And it is a 2x2 kind of seed stitch. So 2 rows are the same, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl all the way across. And then you switch to the opposite where you purl the knits. And what it does is it makes it almost like a bigger seed stitch. And when you look at Claire's sweater, it's hard to tell if it's a 2x2 or actually a 3x3. So the only way to really find out is to swatch. And I hate swatching. I must have swatched about 6 or 7 swatches. Originally, I used a single strand of the skein. And that made it looked nice, but it was too small. When I compared it to the one that she's wearing, it was just too small. And I did it with various needle sizes. So some of them came out too loose. Her sweater is very tightly knit. So then I switched to double strands, which means that you hold two strands together. So you have to, what I did was I caked up the strands together into one cake of yarn. So this is a cake. What I did was I wound it up, the two strands together, so that it wouldn't get too messy while I was knitting. And then I swatched again using the different seed stitches, moss stitches, and different needle sizes to try to get it as accurate as I could. And we're back. I hope you can see the construction of this a little bit better now that it is on half of a mannequin.
Hi, editing Jess here. I have no idea where we're back from. I made these videos months ago. It's been really hard to edit them and upload the videos. I don't know if something happened uploading it and the videos got lost, but I'm back. We've jumped from the stitches to construction, so that's what's happening. I'm sorry.
So I wanted to explain how the panels went together and how I did the button band and the construction. So as you can see, there's a panel here, a panel there. It is sewn together on the side. Under here, there's a huge back panel, and then obviously the two sleeves. So you have to sew up the sides, and then here's the armhole. The shoulder seam is set a little bit far back, which is fine by me. And the tricky part was getting this button band to continue all the way along the back. Now, I am sure that in the original sweater, the button band was probably added after the fact. Again, you can see how many stitches, that would have been a couple of hundred stitches that I would have needed to pick up, and I was not going to do that. And I don't always enjoy the way that the stitches look when you pick them up. Sometimes it's uneven and there's gapping, and with that many stitches, it's very hard to get it to look nicely. So I had the seed stitch plus the button band on the front panel pieces. I got up to the shoulder seam. I bound off the moss stitch pattern, and that left me with only the button band on the needles. I did the same thing for the other side. And because this band goes all the way across her neck, I had to figure out how to attach both pieces. So I was a little bit off, which is fine. You can barely see it. On the left panel, I came across to about here. So you can see there was about that much I had to knit of just the button band. And then on this side, it was only about an inch that I had to continue on. So reminder, the seed stitch panel part was bound off, which means you kind of finish that part for those of you who don't knit. And then I had to continue with this button band, connect them, which I just had a piece of yarn, and it's Kitchener stitch to put them together. And I think it came out really nicely, except for that I do think every time I look at it, I wanted it to be a little bit wider. Get her situated. Now, I couldn't just do the sweater. I wanted to get the whole Claire Fraser look. And to do that, I needed to find a skirt and a shirt to go underneath. When you watch the episodes, the first time you see the sweater, it looks like there's something underneath. You can't really tell what it is. And then in season 6, there's an episode where she walks into a room with Jamie, and she takes the sweater off, and she's wearing kind of like a men's button-down shirt underneath. So I had to go to Goodwill to find something that would work. I checked the skirts. They had some plaid skirts, which were not a part of the outfit when she wore it on screen, but I thought maybe it'd be fun because I was going to Scotland to get a plaid or tartan skirt. Goodwill didn't have anything that fit right or looked right, so then I went to the dress section. And let me go grab the skirt so I can show you. So this is the skirt I ended up with, but it didn't start as a skirt, it started off as a dress. I found the dress for $6.99 and it was actually 50% off, so I got this for $3. I cut the top of the dress off and I made a hem so that there was a tube that I can feed the strings in. These came with the dress, and simple as that. It works well enough. I didn't want to do anything with a hoop skirt or tulle or any extra material because I was traveling and things had to fit in small suitcases when I went to Scotland. So this is very lightweight. I don't even know what it's made out of, but let me kind of show you what it looks like on. Okay, so all I do is slip it on, tie it up with the sweater on top of it. You can't see any of this, and I was wearing boots with it that looked a little bit period accurate, close enough. Everything was close enough, which was fine for me because at the photo shoot, everything looked amazing. Now, the next thing I had to do was find a shirt for underneath. I checked the men's section, the women's section. There were no shirts that matched the green that would work and that I was willing to pay for. Some of the shirts were $12.99 and I was not going to pay that. So I needed to match the green. I knew the green and blue were going to go well together because they're kind of in the same tone. It gives the same vibe. So I remembered I had pieces of fabric at home that were green. I bought sheets at some point and made a pilgrim cosplay. So I had pieces that I knew I could use. So all I did, instead of making my own button down shirt, because I don't know how to do that, I decided to just cut a strip and I made a nice seam so that there was no frayed edges. The only issue I have with this is that you do need to iron it a lot because it folds up on itself. And then all I did was, to give the illusion that I was wearing a shirt underneath, I used it a little bit like a scarf and tucked it in. And you just overlap it and it gives a really nice effect. And then I can wear whatever shirt I want underneath. The day I took pictures, it was very warm out, so I wore a t-shirt underneath. But when it gets cold, I wear a long sleeve and then I have that showing. So I guess that's about it. I am going to show photos from the photo shoot at the end of this, but I'll do a little reveal for you right now. All right, here it is in all its glory. It's, like I said, close enough to what she's wearing. It makes me feel like I'm Claire Fraser from Outlander. I enjoyed taking photos with it. I really liked wearing it in Scotland. When I was at the castle that they filmed part of Scotland, somebody actually said, "Hi, Outlander," to me. So it is recognizable by people who watch the TV show. A lot of people have asked me if I'm going to release a pattern for this, and the answer is no, sadly. I hope you can use this video to help make one of your own and figure out the construction of sweaters. I made this for myself as more of a cosplay. I enjoy making cosplay and I wanted to tie in my love of knitting. So I've been trying to take on projects that are from TV or film. I do not know how to size up patterns, and if I were to make a pattern, I would want it to be very size inclusive, and I just do not have the skills to do that. I don't want to make something that wouldn't fit a variety of sizes. So you can use this video as a base, and if you do make one, please show me. The next project I'm going to make is actually from Gilmore Girls. I made the golf hat that Rory wears in season 1. I made that for FanFest. That was super fun. The next project I'm making is the blue sweater with the rainbow sleeves in season 1. Let me show you what I'm working on. The sweater that she wears is machine knit and I hand knit, so it's going to be a little bit different. I had to choose the smallest size needles, size 1, and I am using Knit Picks yarn, Stroll, fingering weight in the color Blue Sky. The coloring is also a little bit off, but I don't mind. You'll recognize the sweater anyway. I do have all the colors for the sleeves. This is the back panel. It's a basic construction, back panel, front panel, and then you attach the sleeves. So it should be pretty easy to construct. It is taking a long time to knit because of how small the needles are, but that's okay. I'm willing to put in the work for it because I think it's going to look really good. So stay tuned for that. I will be doing another YouTube video on how I make it. If enough people liked this one, I will definitely do a video on this. And I hope you enjoyed and you'll join me next time. Okay, bye. Hi guys, I just want to say thank you if you made it all the way to the end. This is my second YouTube video. I'm not used to filming, talking to the video. All of my Instagram content is me not talking and just being silly in front of the camera. I'm going to try to loosen up a little bit. I know I sound a little bit stiff and look a little bit stiff sometimes. So I do I do apologize for that. Hopefully this will get easier. It's just so weird talking to the camera. I don't know why. And I also noticed that I do a lot of looking around at nothing. Maybe I should set up a mannequin behind the camera so I have something to look at. I have this guy, let me show you. Maybe I should set him up so that I have someone to look at. What do you guys think? That might help. Okay, I only know how to make things for myself. I can write patterns for shawls and accessories. Pearl, you need to leave. Sorry. The next. Hi everyone.